Hello and welcome to Stretford Paddock. My name is Joe and this is the news on Friday the 7th of July, and we've got some massive news today. Onana has agreed terms with Manchester United. He has agreed the terms on what seems to be a 5-year deal. We are also hearing, according to a lot of sources that we're going to go through in just a moment, that Man United and Inter are edging ever closer as well on agreeing a fee. Everything indicates that this deal is going to get done. We've seen a slew of Tier 1 and very reliable journalists mentioning this in the last few hours. That Inter think the deal's going to get done. United think the deal's going to get done. The gap is closing on agreeing a fee. And like I said in the last few hours as well, United and Onana have agreed terms on a 4+1 year deal at Manchester United. So it seems as though we are in the final stages of signing Andre Onana at Manchester United, which is obviously massive, massive news. And it's the first time United have signed a number one goalkeeper in 13 years, or 12 years since United signed David De Gea. So this is a huge moment for Man United. One of the most high-pressure positions on the pitch in world football, let alone at Manchester United. The goalkeeper for Manchester United gets more scrutiny, more pressure, more eyes on the... Excuse me, I'm getting emotional. More eyes on them than almost any position. So this is an absolutely massive transfer for Manchester United. We're going to go through the details. We're going to break down who's saying what, when they've said it, and exactly when we can expect this deal as it looks to be completed. So let's start off with the news coming out this morning. And first of all, we've got Matteo Moretto, who is an Italian journalist who's considered Tier 3, which is reliable. He has sources, but isn't necessarily always spot on. But he was started this morning saying Manchester United and Inter are really close to reaching an agreement. The Italians ask for 55 million euros, bonuses included. Negotiation sources believe that it can be closed soon. And again, we're using this, Tier 3, not necessarily, no celery involved. Not necessarily the most reliable, but then you back that up again. Florian Plettenberg, more reliable still, tweeting about Inter looking at new options. If we can get that up as well, you see here concrete talks between Bayern and Sommer about his future will start after his vacations. Obviously, that's not necessarily relevant to United, but if you look down there, Inter is an option for him as Onana is on the verge of joining Manchester United. So again, we're just building a picture that all of the top journalists, all of the most reliable journalists in Europe are saying and thinking that Onana is on the cusp of joining Manchester United. If we move on again, Mike Verwij, I don't think we've got a consensus on how to pronounce his name, but we all know him, we've all heard of him. Tier 1, as good as it gets in terms of reliability for Dutch transfers in particular. You see there that second line with English flag next to it in English. If you can read Italian, go for it. Onana can sign a 5 or 4+1 year at Manchester United. United very close to a deal with Inter. He then sort of put that in an article that you can see linked in that. And you see there the big text, the headline. The arrival of Onana to United is getting closer. Agreement on transfer is approaching. And this is a sort of bizarrely short article. You see there the headline, and obviously it's in a bigger font, but that takes up about 3 times the amount of space on the page as the entire rest of the article put together. So you see that Manchester United has taken a big step towards bringing Andre Onana 27, Andre Onana at 27. Erik ten Hag's club is approaching an agreement with Internazionale over about the fee of approximately 55 million euros and has an outlined agreement with the goalkeeper himself. Like we've said, those personal terms are agreed. And if we scroll down, the rest of the article is simply, at Old Trafford, the Cat of Cameroon, which is a fantastic nickname, if that is his nickname. I don't know if Mike Verwij just sort of come up with that himself, but I like the Cat of Cameroon. Has a 5-year contract or a 4-year season commitment with an optional year available. Sources around the English club report this. This is obviously Google translated, so some of the phrasing is slightly unusual, but that's why. Onana, who impressed in Serie A last season and reached the final of the Champions League with Inter, is an old acquaintance of Ten Hag. At Ajax, the keeper and trainer experienced great successes. I don't know if anyone's seen it, that video of those two, Ten Hag and Onana, doing kick-ups and passing it to each other, doing kick-ups and passing it to each other. A little game of keepy-uppy between them, which is nice to see, and hopefully we'll be able to see more of that. But obviously, this is a deal that has gone sort of weirdly smoothly so far. You know, United had been linked sort of in passing terms to Onana a season ago, and you know, kind of a name that's been floated and mentioned little bits here and there. But basically, the Champions League final happened. The following weekend, United were interested in Onana, and then we sort of focused on the Mount deal for a couple of weeks. Then the Mount deal happened 3 days ago, or essentially was agreed about a week ago. And it looks as though we're on the verge of agreeing another deal. This Onana deal, from the very start, people have said, Inter are willing to sell. Inter have a fee. United think that fee, whilst it's slightly higher than we want to go, they think a compromise is available. They think that this deal can get done. And it looks as though it's going to get done. Massive. Get your thoughts in the comments. A new goalkeeper, a new first-choice goalkeeper, looks like he's going to be arriving at Manchester United. Obviously, we'll hold reserve judgment entirely until we get a Here We Go or an Ornstein exclusive, or, you know, journalists saying that the actual transfer fee itself has been agreed between the two clubs, but those personal terms have been agreed, you know, according to pretty much all of the most reliable journalists in Europe at the moment. Nicholas Naidu says, I've been saying De Gea's time is up for a long time now, but the way the club did him was just dirty. Yeah, that whole offering him a contract and then he signs it, and then before United sign it, we pull it out from under him, not letting him have a send-off, not sorting this out before the end of the season and saying, you know, this is De Gea's final game, have him, you know, the fans there, have people be able to say what a great player he's been for Manchester United, you know, goodbye. Instead it's, no, end of the season comes round, he'll be our goalkeeper next season. And then we spoke to Chris Wheeler yesterday from the Daily Mail, who, you know, said basically that it was Ten Hag that said, actually, no, I don't want this, you know, and the club wanted to give him a contract, De Gea wanted to sign it, and Ten Hag changed his mind, or, you know, changed the club's mind. Which is just, you know, I don't blame Ten Hag individually, I don't blame the club individually, but this miscommunication between manager and club, that can't be allowed to happen at the expense of a player that's been there for 12 years. I understand he needs to go and we need a keeper that more suits Ten Hag's style, but finding a way to show respect to one of, you know, a Manchester United great, to me, should have been a priority in all this, and we've not seen that. Cosmic says she's turned the winds against us. I don't know if you're having problems at home, but, you know, quoting Lemmy and chatting in here, we're more than happy to have you. She hasn't turned Stretford Paddock against you, I can tell you that much. Shawnee MBC says Sergio Romero wasn't treated great at the end. Also, the difference with Sergio Romero, though, is he was brought in as a number 2. He was always a number 2. He wanted to leave, but we said, no, we need a number 2, and kept him. That's different. He wasn't forced out or told he was going to stay and then got sent away. It was the opposite. He wanted to leave and we went, well, no, we need you, which isn't ideal, but sometimes people disagree and you've signed a contract. I could understand the Romero one, but De Gea has been a number 1 keeper for over a decade at United. He was told we wanted him and then the contract was pulled away at the last second. That's a little bit cruel, isn't it? Interesting. Will he be going to AFCON? I'm not sure. I don't know when the AFCON is, actually. Is it 2023? It is January 24. Does it? I don't know. I mean, I'm just making this up. But it seems like there's an African Cup of Nations more often than any of the other continent-based tournaments. It seems like there's one every couple of years. Is that wrong? But it's, you know, the Euros every 4 years. I think Copa America, they had an extra one, didn't they, for the 50th anniversary or whatever. It seems like there's always an African Cup of Nations. It is. It's every 2 years. Why is that? Why is there twice as many African Cup of Nations as there is Euros? Let me know in the comments. Hussey says, Joe, when are you joining Threads? I don't know. The new Twitter rival is out, much like every other Twitter rival. RVP's exit was poor. Onana retired from international football. I know that he left the camp. I wasn't sure that he'd retired from international football, but it's obviously a strange situation. And maybe, you know, I'm not questioning his attitude necessarily, but we know for a fact that Onana left the Cameroon camp because he refused to play the manager's style. admittedly, that was asking him to play a more conservative, more traditional approach to goalkeeping, which hopefully, seemingly isn't what Ten Hag will want. But you do expect professionalism from players, and doing what the manager says is part of professionalism. You play the manager's style. It's not up to the manager to play your style, especially at international level. Because if if Onana plays for a club team that doesn't want to pass out from the back, he can kick up a force and move to one that does. He is Cameroonian. He ain't going to, he's already made 30 caps or whatever it is for Cameroon. He can't go, oh, fuck this, I'm going to play for Finland instead because they play out from the back. So you'd think, especially at international level, he would, be slightly more agreeable. But, we'll find out. I've just seen an article here, africanews.com. Cameroon goalkeeper Andre Onana retires from internationals at age 26. I love that. Just gone. He just retired. He was dropped from the Cameroon squad for the World Cup in 2022 for indiscipline and announced his international retirement. I love that. Retired from international football at 26. He's going to be like the fourth highest, most expensive goalkeeper of all time. He's 27 years old and he doesn't have a national team that he plays for anymore. That is sensational. You're getting a proper player when they've retired from international football at 26 because he just fucking hated everyone. Brilliant. That's what I'm saying. Chris O'Connor, he can't change teams, but he can decide not to play for him anymore. What if they get a manager who wants a keeper who can play out from the back? And he's gone, Jesus could just unretire, I suppose. Very interesting. Aaron Udman says first player to ever do that. I don't think he's the first player to retire, but it's rare to see someone retire at 26 because they fell out with a manager. That is pretty rare. Let's move on to our second story. I want to come back to Onana before the end of the video as well. So do get your comments in. Are you excited? This is my percentage, but I'm guessing it looks like 90 plus chance that we're going to get Onana at this stage. Everything seems to be lined up. Both parties want this to happen. It seems it's just a matter of time before we do get a deal agreed for Andre Onana. Let's move on momentarily and we'll come back to Rasmus Højlund. And this was in the Telegraph yesterday evening. Exclusive. Højlund is Man United to launch bid for £50 million for Atalanta striker Rasmus Højlund. Now, we ain't got the screen on because it's behind a paywall. But I do have the text from the article. So this is from the Telegraph again. A highly regarded, reputable source. Manchester United will bid to make young Denmark international Rasmus Højlund their new first-choice striker this window as they seek to deliver Erik ten Hag the second major signing of the summer amid growing uncertainty over the proposed takeover. The club have been working on a strict budget because of financial fair play considerations, which is matched and agreed upon by pretty much every journalist we've spoken to over the last few weeks, that United, it's not a case of, we've heard in the past, the budget's only going to be 100 million, 150 because the Glazers, don't want to sanction more. This is a case where they, by the sound of it, they can't. Even if we had Sheikh Jassim or Jim Ratcliffe or whoever owning Manchester United, we couldn't spend loads more money because we haven't earned enough over the last 2 years to do so. That's not me trying to defend the Glazers by any means, but this is an unusual situation where it's not the fact that the Glazers are stingy that we ain't got any money. It's the fact that you could blame the Glazers for us not earning more over the last 3 years if you want to. But yeah, we just don't have it unless we sell players. It says here, the club have been working on a strict budget because of financial fair play considerations, but believe that they can deliver Højlund this summer for around 50 million, although the deal might have to wait for resolution in the Glazer sale process. The 20-year-old had an impressive breakthrough season at Atalanta in Serie A last year with 9 league goals in 32 games and is regarded as a player with huge scope for improvement. United have been pushed hard for the £60 million fee for Mason Mount from Chelsea and are now seeking to cover their other two positional targets this summer. Their striker options going into the window are Højlund and the Eintracht Frankfurt striker and France international Randall Kolo Muani. Erik ten Hag has identified Højlund as his preference. And they talk about some of the financial losses that have led to the fact that United are quite limited in what they have to spend this summer. He says, as for the striker, Højlund is more realistic, although his price has rocketed this season in what is a restricted market for established goal-scoring talent. Meanwhile, United are looking at the sale of one or more or one or all of Harry Maguire, Jadon Sancho, Fred, Scott McTominay, Anthony Martial, Alex Telles, Anthony Elanga and Eric Bailly in order to reset their financial fair play consideration. Again, very much echoing a lot of the sentiment of Chris Wheeler yesterday. Go and check that interview out with me and Jay. Chris Wheeler from the Daily Mail, who has said a lot of the similar things there. The only thing that he didn't say is this £50 million potential bid for Højlund. I think 50 million, you're in the ballpark of massive waste of money there, aren't you? Because it's a lot. But it's also enough that if he's very good, or even if he's quite good, it's probably worth it. If we get him for 50 and he becomes a 15 to 20 goal a season striker, he's probably worth it. If he can get you 20 goals a year, every year, that's worth 50 million quid. He doesn't have to be a world superstar to be worth 50 million quid. But I think it's a lot of money for someone that's done as little as he has in his career. So I think if I was Atalanta, I would see that as a fair fee for a bloke who got dropped and released by Copenhagen 18 months ago, or 2 years ago now, and has since then had one good season in his life. 50 million quid for one good year, to me, is more than a fair fee. And to be honest, might be slightly overspending on United's part. However, like I said, if we go on to get 20 goals a season out of him, it will be well worth it. Interesting. Has Rashford signed a new deal? Not yet. No, and when he does, we will give you the update there. Fab has just posted on Twitter about another goalie we are looking at. Let's have a look at that, because obviously I've been doing this, so I've not seen that. Fabrizio Romano. Let's have a look. 2 minutes. Manchester United have Japanese 2002 born. Can we get this up on the screen, Callum? Manchester United have Japanese 2002 born goalkeeper Zion Suzuki, who plays for the Urawa Reds, on their radar. So many R's in there. Urawa Reds radar. He's one of the options as a new backup goalkeeper. Nothing done, but United informed. Priority remains Andre Onana. Talks ongoing with Inter. €55 million bid needed to seal it. You see there, is a name that's sort of come up over the last few days for Manchester United. And it seems like an interesting prospect. Again, he was born in the United States, but has played for Japan. Obviously, Japanese heritage. He plays for the Japanese national team. He's got one cap for the full team, but he played from under 15s, 16s, 17s, 18s, 23s. Plays for Japan. He plays in the Japanese league as well, and looks to be a very promising keeper. But again, he's 20 years old and will come in as a backup. Maybe even go out on loan, maybe play for the academy. I don't think it's going to be him or Onana. I think he's one for the future, but it's good to have ones for the future lurking around. Fergal McClements says, does it worry you that United seem not to do any scouting? It seems to be all Ten Hag. Surely a goalkeeper list should exist, not just the boy previously from Ajax. That does worry me, yeah. But the problem is, as it currently stands, United's scouting track record is shit. Like, for the last decade, the only players we've signed, really, let me know in the comments, that are sort of out of the blue signing, we go, who's that, sorry? And then he turned out to be good. We sign Maguire, Wan-Bissaka, we signed Bruno Fernandes, we just got 30 goals from midfield. I think he broke the European record the year we signed him. Sancho, Lukaku, Varane, Ronaldo. Like, we just sign either a player that the manager used to manage, like Fellaini, or Matic, or whatever, or we sign a player that's been so well known and so big in Europe over the last 10 years that anyone knows him, Di Maria. Do you know what I mean? United don't sign someone like Zion Suzuki, someone where you go, oh, there you go, that's an interesting signing. I'd never heard of him. He plays in a league that isn't one that we often sign players from. It's rare that we sign, players that are either have American history or Japanese history. Like that, they aren't United's sort of typical areas of signing people. We usually go, does he play in Spain? No, don't want him then. Does he play in Premier League? No, don't want him then. Does he play? We just buy players from the top 5 leagues and that's it. So it's nice to see United scouting someone outside of those parameters. But yeah, I think since Ten Hag's come in, they've all been players that either Ten Hag has played against in Malacia or already played with Martinez and Antony. United scouting is baffling to me, and it's not a case where I go, yeah, forget Ten Hag, let's hand it back over to these scouts that have been shit for 15 years. Do you know what I mean? I don't know what I want. Probably what we need is new scouts. Hit subscribe to the channel as well if you haven't already. We've just hit 700,000 subscribers and we're pushing for 800. So hit subscribe. If you watch us and you like us, hit subscribe. Also, if you do subscribe, you will see our videos before other people and hit the notification bell so you see every time we go live. Ramos and Højlund, who's better? Sorry, Ramos and Højlund, who's better? I think Ramos is slightly more proven but would cost you more. Højlund will be slightly cheaper, but obviously doesn't quite have the track record of, getting a hat-trick in a World Cup. Really puts a lot of eyes on you, doesn't it? Shawnee MBC says, when we get young, promising players, we loan them and then sell them for nothing. That is pretty accurate, actually. Koth Mike says, we are all going to need to be on a special diet with the heart attacks that Onana is going to give us. I think what we need to do is, if we sign Onana, we all need to collectively decide as Man United fans, it's going to be scary. It's going to be weird. Because we haven't had a keeper that tries to play out from the back to this extent since Bartes. And even he wasn't, that wasn't the system, that wasn't the style. When you've got a keeper that plays out from the back, he will give the ball away. He will make mistakes. Like any player passing the ball, like Carrick, like Scholes, like anyone, they give the ball away sometimes. And when you give it away, when you're the last line of defence and you're in your own 6-yard box, it can be disastrous. But we've got to accept that those are the types of mistakes that are going to happen now. You've got to get your brain used to seeing, oh, fucking hell, what a pass that was. But also, you know what I mean? Bit of both. But we accept that. And as opposed to a keeper that shies away from having the ball at his feet, where you don't see the mistake because he never had it. Like, De Gea, in fairness, has given the ball away quite a few times, but he often goes long a lot. You look at certain games against Liverpool in particular last season, whenever he gets the ball, just boots it. And you can't give the ball away if you're just booting it. Well, you can, but it's not in a dangerous position. So you can't compare the mistakes of a keeper not even trying to play out from the back to one that is. So it's going to take us time as United fans to get used to seeing a new type of mistake, because he will make mistakes and we have to stick by him when he does. Z3 Music Official says, I can't wait to see the look on Maguire's face when Onana dribbles past him out of the box and rips an absolute piss missile to Rashford. I like the term piss missile. That's lovely. I'm going to write that down, actually. Callum, write down piss missile for me. Thank you. Right, that's going to be all from us. Thank you for joining us this morning. We're going to be back this afternoon. We've got The Brew with Stephen Howson. We've also got Uncensored with Adam McCullough coming up as well. Some fantastic videos coming up on the channel. And any breaking news, we will be here. If there's any update on Onana, if we get a here we go, if we get a deal agreed from Ornstein, we will be live. So like I said, hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell as well, so you'll see it immediately and you won't miss out on any Manchester United transfer news. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you in a bit.